Hello and welcome to John's Comics with Kids and my weekly edited pull list video where I'm looking ahead at March 3rd to decide what books am I going to pick up and why. If you want to find out what I'm getting, stick around and watch this video. Cut. I am trying to cut books on my pull list. I'm trying to shrink the pull list down as best I can, and I'm introducing a new segment at the end looking at trades that I'm going to be picking up, books that I'm pushing over to the trade category so that I can maybe save a little money on that weekly pull list. So let's dive right into Marvel, where I got a few books I'm definitely still getting, like Hellions, issue 10. There are just a ton of great comedy coming out of these Hellions issues. I find myself laughing a bunch. This is a definite green light book. If you're looking for a Marvel X-related title to get, I would say X-Force, Marauders, and Hellions are my three favorites, and they are all offering something different, whether it's action or comedy or something in between. So yeah, this is great. The Psylocke Nakayama variant is gorgeous. Just beautiful. So yeah, if I can find that, but it's probably going to be an online exclusive. And now you know me, I don't hunt for that kind of stuff. I stick away from online variants. Shout out to JP's Budget Collecting for helping me break or never even really get into that habit. So yeah, Hellions issue 10. I'm also getting King in Black Thunderbolts issue 3. I think this is very funny as well. And it's been, I think, the best tie-in for the King in Black. I've read a few one-shot tie-ins, and I've enjoyed, like, Valkyries, and what Daredevil's doing is great. But Thunderbolts has been really cool, and they brought my Sentry fan. I'm a Sentry fan. They brought him in here. It looks like they've got his corpse, and they're going to use it for some evil deed to fight against Null. I'm all about this. I think it's funny. I think it's creative. The art's not great, but it's just a whole kick in the pants. I'm really enjoying this. So definitely getting Thunderbolts. I think there's only one more issue after this one in Thunderbolts, but I get the feeling that what they're doing is going to be important in the overall King in Black. So definitely grabbing that. My final green light, number 3 over at Marvel, is going to be Demon Days X-Men number 1. Peach Momoko doing interior art and cover art. And it's an X-Men book? Come on, you know I'm going to be getting this. I'm absolutely going to be checking this out. It might be total garbage water. I have no idea, but I'm definitely going to be checking this out. I will say I think this is supposed to be a 5-issue storyline. So this is issue number 1 of 5 in Demon Days. So I'm happy to give that a shot. Maybe even convince Alec to try this out for book club. So yeah, I'm all about this. Gonna definitely give it a shot. Hopefully she can do interior storytelling as well as she can do some cool cover variants. So that is all the green lights. Let's check out yellow lights over at Marvel, because I got 3 and they're all King in Black related. The first one is King in Black, Wiccan and Hulkling, issue number 1. So these 2 characters got married recently. They're looking to get away, and of course then Null strikes and this whole crazy thing happens on Earth. So now, what are they going to do? How are Hulkling and Wiccan going to get involved in this Null event? There's also some mystery going on as far as the Shi'ar galaxy. So I don't know what that all amounts to. I do like those characters, and I just feel like the King in Black tie-ins have been very inconsistent, like tie-ins always are. So this one's probably going to get a hard pass for me, but I just wanted to mention it to you, along with King in Black Captain America, issue number 1. So we had Captain America get captured by symbiotes and then set free by Dylan. Now it sounds like he's leading the ground assault in New York against Null. This would be a great kick in the pants book, I think, for people who are big fans of Captain America. I haven't been reading the Ta-Nehisi Coates current run, so I don't know if I would be super into this. I'm going to glance at it, but I don't think that's who's doing this. I think, yet again, it's a tie-in done by a different creative team. So I'm probably going to skip this, but Captain America fans might be looking for that. And then the last one is a red light for me. I don't do a lot of red lights, but of course, King in Black Handbook, number 1. I don't buy handbooks if I can avoid them. They're definitely Marvel money grabs. This one's not super expensive or anything. It's not like it's an $8.99. I think it's a $4.99 or a $3.99 book. but I don't need it. I think I know the story well enough. I've been reading Venom from the beginning. I read Absolute Carnage. I think I'm caught up. I'm not too worried about this. But maybe somebody who's feeling lost in The King in Black would want this. So I'm throwing it up here just to mention it to you. But for me, it's a hard red light. I am not grabbing this book. I think it's just a waste of money for me. But that's it over at Marvel. Let's check out DC and what I'm getting there. I'm almost ready to give all of DC the just universal yellow light because I really am struggling to find new books or ongoing books over there that I enjoy at all. I feel like they don't get me, and I think sometimes they even don't get their own characters. So I struggle over at DC. But I'm going to give another #1 a shot. So my only green light this week is going to be Ram V's Swamp Thing issue #1. People told me that the Future State Swamp Thing was their favorite Future State book, and I missed it, so I went online to my buddy ComicCampaign.com and grabbed both issues that I was missing for cover price. Super glad to have those on the way, so I'll read those, and then I'll check out Swamp Thing issue #1 from the same writer, same character, but obviously not so far into the future. Now we're getting him towards the beginning of his Swamp Thing life. I've never read a Swamp Thing issue one at a time like this before. I recently read the saga of the Swamp Thing Volume 1 for the very first time. I know, big blank spot in my reading. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool what Alan Moore was doing. So I'm curious to see what Ram V is going to be doing with this. So I'm definitely grabbing that. That's it at DC. Let's check out some indies because I got a couple of green lights that I'm definitely getting. First up, #1 is going to be Sea of Sorrows, issue 4, which has been really, really great. Again, it's the Road of Bones team. I've been enjoying the creepy vibes. The artwork style is a little unfinished, which I kind of dig. It fits the horror, history, kind of underwater vibes they're going for here. I just dig the story. I think it's a lot of fun. And I'm not usually a horror comics guy, but this is less about like graphic horror. This is more about like creepy horror. So I'm digging this. I'm definitely going to read this first story arc, which I think is going to be 5 issues long. So here we are at issue 4. Definitely one more after this. So I'm getting that. The other green light for me is a book that I'm giving you the spec warning on. Don't go crazy on this book. We're talking about Berserker issue 1 from Boom Studios. This is the Keanu Reeves book. There's a million of these covers. There's a million variants. There's a million books. Do not buy into the hype that you're not going to be able to find a copy of this. You will. Now, will you be able to find the one cover that is going to be the $1,000? Probably not, but who cares? These books all come back down again. Trust me, this is not a book to freak out about. But I just want to read it and see if it's worth anything. More than likely, this will be a book club discussion with White Whale Comics. I think the art style looks pretty cool. I'm curious what the story will really be like. Can Keanu Reeves write a story? Or is he just like, I came up with an idea and this other guy's writing it? Who knows? So I'm definitely going to be reading issue #1 just to see, hey, what are we doing? And I love Boom Studios, so that's a twofer for me. And that is all my green lights. But let's take a look at some yellow light books because there are some fun issue #1s and things coming up that you might be interested in. First up from Mad Cave, we have Nottingham, issue #1, which is kind of like a detective story set in the Robin Hood universe and the Sheriff of Nottingham trying to solve murder crimes and mysteries and things. The covers are kind of cool. I generally like Mad Cave and the stuff they've been doing. So I'm curious about this book. My buddy, Bearded Comic Bro, has been doing interviews with a lot of great artists and talent from different comic book companies. He interviewed the writer for Nottingham. You should check out his channel if you want to hear a little bit more about what's the creative experience behind this book. But the idea and the covers have me curious enough to at least flip through a few pages just to see if this is worth reading and checking out. So that's Nottingham, issue #1. I've also got a book called Noctera, issue #1. And this got me interested because of all the talent behind it. #1, you got art by Tony Daniel, who I think is incredibly talented, and I really do dig his style of art. And #2, you've got the writers, Scott Snyder. And I know that in our comic community, Scott Snyder is revered. Some people absolutely love Scott Snyder. I will say for me, He's closer to the middle of the pack. I've yet to have very many of his books that I am just in love with. Court of Owls being one of my all-time favorites, but sometimes he's just sort of more hit or miss for me. Yet again, we have another sort of post-apocalyptic future. In this case, an Earth that is almost all at night. There's no daytime anymore, and these monsters have come out. And the only way to fight them is with light, artificial light, as best you can. The main character is a woman who is transporting things from one place to another. That's her job. And she has these lighting systems that help her protect her cargo, whether they're people or whatever. So it centers around her and her challenges battling monsters in this particular habitat. It could be a really cool creative idea, or it just could be another indie image book that I'm like, yeah, I read one issue and I'm not into it. So Yellow Light for Nocturna, issue number 1 by Snyder and Tony Daniel. That leaves one last indie Yellow Light. This is Undone by Blood, Volume 2, and Volume 2 is called Other Side of Eden. I know people that loved Undone by Blood. I think Rican Comics was a big fan. I read the first 2 issues and I kind of liked it. I never liked it enough to keep going with it. I might try the trade of Volume 1 just to see how I feel about it. So I wanted to mention this one. I think that's a solid creative team. I don't know if I'm ready for Volume 2 yet without having finished Volume 1. So I just wanted to mention Undone by Blood. I think it could be another really good book. If you liked Volume 1, obviously, then you're all in and you're set here for this one. And that is all my yellow, red, and green light books for you. But let's talk about my new segment, Trade Waiting. I got a trade that I am reading and hoping to read more of. New issues of Firepower are dropping. And I have moved over to reading this exclusively in trade paperback form. I own the first 7 issues, but I've been enjoying it in bigger chunks. And I think it just reads really well in a trade paperback. So this is a book that I'm going to continue reading, but I'm not going to grab it week by week. So I'm just going to get the trades. Instead, every few months, I'll grab another Firepower trade, and my girls and I can really enjoy it because it's got a great family element. The kung fu is really cool. And I'm a Robert Kirkman fan outside of Walking Dead. I'm not a huge Walking Dead fan, but Oblivion Song, really dig it. Invincible, really dig it. So I'm excited to read more of Firepower. And those of you reading in individual floppy issues, issue 9 is dropping March 3rd, so you can grab that. And that is it. I'm done. That is the pull list. We are cutting. We are finished. This is also Tag Team Thursday. Click the links down below. We came from hopefully Rod Reekton's show. Now you're on mine. We're going to go over to Old Wolf Tony's show. And from there, you might go to Comic Chop News. You might go to Brandon over at ComixKings. But you're always going to finish with The Closer. Our guy, KnowGood Comics. Justin's going to close it out. Just follow the links, and they're dropping in the chat. Bounce from one show to the next all the way through the evening, and hopefully have a really great time. Thanks for coming and hanging out on my channel, and I'll see you back here next week for another pull list.